The world's two largest nuclear weapons possessors, Russia and the United States, are both modernising and diversifying their nuclear arsenals. Some of the new nuclear systems that Russia and the US are building, for instance submarine-launched ballistic missiles, will be accountable under the new Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, or New START, which was extended in February 2021 until 2026. This is a bilateral arms control agreement between Moscow and Washington that enhances strategic stability by capping the number of delivery systems and warheads and providing transparency and predictability into Russia and the US's respective nuclear forces. But the challenges facing arms control go much deeper than simply controlling this bilateral nuclear parity, as important as that is. Quantitative increases in nuclear weapons stockpiles in regions with fragile security dynamics, such as South Asia, demonstrate that arms racing in other parts of the world is mostly going unchecked. Moreover, qualitative improvements in missile delivery systems and action-reaction responses to these might undermine crisis stability and inadvertently leads to escalation in a conflict, which is especially destabilising if both of the states are nuclear armed. And indeed, qualitative competition is already underway between Beijing, Moscow and Washington. For instance, after decades of being limited to laboratories, hypersonic boost glide vehicles, or HGVs, are becoming operational systems. Travelling at hypersonic, which is Mach 5 plus speeds, HGVs use solid propellant boosters to provide the energy required to glide into the upper atmosphere. Once separated from the booster, an HGV can manoeuvre significantly as it flies during the cruise phase of its flight, at high altitude and at very high speed. This makes the task of defending against such a system very difficult, although not impossible. And for these reasons, China, Russia and the United States have been investing in HGV technology, although the capabilities and the missions of these programs differ significantly. For instance, although the details and performance of China's DF-17 HGV are speculated since the system's unveiling in October 2019, analysts have suggested that the estimated range and design were influenced by the desire to have a high-speed missile system with a theatre-level role that could penetrate missile defences. Although Beijing says the DF-17 carries a conventional warhead, analysts have not ruled out the possibility that it might be dual-capable, as other Chinese missile systems with similar ranges, such as the DF-26, can be fitted with either a conventional or a nuclear warhead. Russia has also begun to deploy an HGV, with the stated purpose of overcoming missile defences, but the roles and the missions of its HGV differ significantly from China's. Introduced in 2019, the Avangard is deployed atop Russian SS-19 ICBMs. Here, the glide vehicle replaces the typical missile bus and re-entry bodies. In its current form, the Avangard is estimated to have a range of 10,000 kilometres. Moscow has said that it can be armed with either a nuclear or conventional warhead. It is also likely that the Avangard will be deployed atop Russia's new heavy ICBM, the Sarmat, once this is introduced later in the 2020s. The United States is also investing in hypersonic weapons for its armed services. Amongst a number of development programs, the US Navy is leading a joint glide vehicle program of the US Army called the Common Hypersonic Glide Body. The US Air Force also has several projects underway, and Washington has stated that its systems will only be armed with conventional warheads. Although Russia has confirmed that the Avangard will fall under the New START treaty, as might some future US systems, some analysts have suggested that HGVs may be destabilising, even if they are included under arms control agreements. For instance, the combination of an HGV's speed, manoeuvrability, accuracy and the difficulty of detection might tempt some states to consider implementing launch on warning postures to guarantee that their forces could not be preemptively targeted. Compounding this risk is the potential uncertainty over the intended target, given the level of manoeuvrability that an HGV offers. So for instance, defenders might believe that their second strike capabilities or their nuclear command and control are under threat, whether that's true or otherwise. This can potentially result in inadvertent escalation. Moreover, the increasing entanglement between nuclear and conventional forces and the increasingly blurred lines between strategic and non-strategic systems further increases this risk, as the use of an HGV in a conflict might be misinterpreted and the response miscalculated. An ambiguity as to whether the payload is conventional or nuclear risks a defender assuming the worst, rather than hoping for the best, and acting on the basis that an HGV is nuclear armed. Australia, France, India and Japan are also looking at possible applications, especially hypersonic cruise missiles. These systems would either use an advanced ramjet or a scramjet engine for propulsion. Likely among the world's first hypersonic cruise missile to enter service will be Russia's Zircon missile. Multiple test firing of the system occurred in 2019 and 2020, and the weapon could enter service in 2022. Zircon is claimed to travel at speeds of up to Mach 8 and has an alleged range of 1,000 kilometres. Like HGVs, hypersonic cruise missiles constrain a defender's reaction time to either intercept the incoming missile or relocate potential targets. This narrows the decision window of how to appropriately respond, potentially increasing the risks of miscalculation in a crisis. As well as Zircon, Russia is also developing a yet more novel cruise missile system. Burezvestnik, known by NATO's SSCX-09 Skyfall, is a nuclear-powered and nuclear-tipped cruise missile with no Chinese or US equivalent. Like Avangard, Berezvestnik has been developed with missile defences in mind. Its endurance would mean it could avoid air defences by taking circuitous flight paths and flying beneath ground-based radar coverage. Moreover, it will be able to target the entire US landmass from any location in Russia. But were it to become operational, the missile will provide Russia with a unique strategic weapon that is able to stay aloft for extended periods of time and deliver nuclear payloads across intercontinental distances. As well as offensive systems, the development of defensive missile systems also poses an arms control challenge. Although defensive in nature, missile defences may spur action-reaction dynamics and therefore drive states to modernise, expand or diversify their missile inventories. For instance, Russia has justified developing new missile systems, such as Avangard, to overcome missile defences, and China has recently introduced a new ICBM, the DF-41, which has multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicles, or MIRVs, to ensure protection of US missile defences. Although there is continuing debate among experts about the actual effectiveness of US missile defences, its continued progress will undoubtedly continue to fuel fears in Beijing and Moscow. This has not, however, meant that China and Russia have abstained from testing such systems themselves. Considering these developments and ongoing tensions between the major security players, there is a greater need to strengthen international discussion and to promote a high level of exchange of views on missile technologies and how they might impact regional security dynamics. Since 2019, the IISS has convened the Missile Dialogue Initiative, a Track 1.5 effort which is supported by the German Federal Foreign Office. The Missile Dialogue Initiative brings together a global expert community to identify and discuss these challenges. The ultimate objective of the initiative is helping inform and eventually contribute to state-level discussions of required policy responses.